During the next half hour, we'll walk with the participants of the Immigration Posada and hear about the challenges facing immigrants today. We'll show you how high school students devoted their time and talent to a group of military veterans. And you can enjoy the sights and sounds of the City Lights Orchestra performing its first ever Rector's Christmas concert at Holy Name Cathedral. Welcome to the latest edition of Catholic Chicago.
The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, I'm Todd Williamson, Director of the Office for Divine Worship with the Archdiocese of Chicago. And here in studio with me is Cardinal Blaise Cupich. Cardinal, it's good to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Todd, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you for this year's programs that we've had. The whole presentation, I think, has been helpful to people and to the many people who are behind the scenes here at our studio. They do a great job, and I know there's scores of people who are just doing work every day here in our studio to make this happen.
Well, what a great start. Thank you for that. Thank you. I enjoy them as well. Cardinal, our first topic of discussion is a follow-up to what you wrote in the Catholic Chicago newspaper. It was an article entitled "The Call to Holiness in an Election Year." Let's talk about the relationship between faith and politics.
Well, and I think that it's also a matter between our holiness that we're pursuing as Catholics in our own spiritual life and how we take our civic responsibility seriously. Because it really is a matter of making sure that we don't live in two zones, that we don't begin to so separate and bifurcate our lives where we think that our either political activity and our affiliation with a party in some way does not intersect with the call to holiness that we all have. So it's important for people to live a holistic life, to live an integrated life. And that's what my article was trying to get at, that we have to look at all of these issues dealing with human dignity and respect for human life as not just political issues, but rather how we are responding to God's call to be a light to the world, to be that presence in the world that brings the goodness of God into the world that makes the world a better place for human beings.
Yeah, it's not, I like how it's not like politics is something separate from our lives, it's integrated with our lives.
Right, otherwise we begin to live two different lives. Yeah. And that kind of division is not healthy for our own spirituality. The real important aspect of spirituality is to integrate our lives, to make sure that what we do and what we say really is reflective and a response to our call to holiness, as opposed to responsive to a partisan political agenda or one in which we are going to feel quote-unquote safer economically or politically in order for us to see that by joining a political party, we're intersecting with a group of people who can have our back. That really shrinks the understanding of what it means to be involved as faithful citizenships in the life of the world. We have to begin with, how am I responding to God's call to holiness as I carry out my social and civic responsibilities?
Yeah. You even pointed to Pope Francis's encyclical "Rejoice and Be Glad" and some advice that he gave in there.
Right. Yes, and he did. He had a wonderful paragraph 101 that I quoted in the article, in which he warns against having an approach that is subject to ideologies, where we begin to dismiss people because maybe they belong to a political party or because they are concerned with other issues that we might not be. That there is a truth that we have to look for, And so for us to single out a particular issue and not consider the other ones that have to do with preservation and protection of human life really is not the way that we should move forward in our own Christian life. He gives the example of our defense of the unborn. It is central and foundational. And yet at the same time, so are the protection of immigrants and migrants. So is the environment. As I was talking to some bishops about it, the analogy of the foundation of a house came up. The foundation of the house of human life is, of course, the protection of the unborn. But if the neighborhood's on fire, then it seems to be a misplaced emphasis if we're not concerned about that. So we have to make sure that we protect life at all levels. And yes, we begin with the unborn, but we don't end there.
Right. Cardinal, you just alluded to the recent meeting of United States bishops, and at that meeting, one of the topics of discussion was a wide-ranging report on immigration.
Yes.
Who wrote that report, and what were some highlights?
Well, Archbishop Gomez, now, our president, was tasked with organizing a group to look at this whole business of immigration. And he organized a group of people to be able to respond to the needs of immigrants today on behalf of the bishops. So we have, I think, a very strong message and very clear message about our priorities. We've always been in favor of having protection for our borders, but also making sure that people are treated with human dignity, that families are not separated, that young people who, in fact, are here studying have a path to citizenship, the DACA program that was announced in 2015. That we look for a way in which we treat people with human dignity and we don't demonize them. So we wanted to make sure that we also protect the legacy of being an immigrant nation in this country. My grandparents were immigrants.
That's right. That's right.
There were, I think that people listening to this program would say that they knew people in their own family who were immigrants, who came here. That was not a threat to the nation, but an enhancement, a gift. It was a blessing and not a burden. And so we have to keep that in mind, that we're not just talking about human dignity that should be given to people, but also our legacy as a nation. It strikes at the core of who we are. We're not only being good Catholics, we're being good Americans when we advocate on their behalf. And especially refugees, people who are fleeing violence. And a lot of the violence in those countries that they're fleeing is due to the drug trade. And we in this United States have to take responsibility for the fact that we are, in our recreational drug use, are supplying the money for the weapons that bring the violence. So we have a moral responsibility in that regard.
Yeah, we do. You mentioned the church is out front. That's certainly the case here in our own archdiocese. We have a very active and very needed immigration ministry. And recently, the 14th annual Posada for Immigration Reform was held outside the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Center in December. It's a 1-mile pilgrimage, symbolizes Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem, traveling from place to place, seeking some refuge. And we have video of that great event.
Good.
Let's take a look.
Great.
This is the 14th year doing this Posada, which is a representation and an acting of Joseph and Mary. And in this case, who are the Josephs and Marys of our time? The Josephs and Marys of our time are the documented community who are seeking legislative shelter, Posada in this country. We started this Posada at the detention center at the Homeland Security. We did the rosary praying for immigration reform, for people in deportation. We went to the courthouse, the Cook County house, as a representation of people who are in detention, deportation. Then we went to DePaul University as a representation of the Dreamers, the DACA students who are still seeking, immigrant rights for themselves also. We passed to the Federal Plaza, representing the legislative process that we've been working for, as I said, for 14 years. And now we're just very close to St. Peter, who finally in each of these stops, the doors were very closed. They were closed and closed and closed, like every single time. But the doors will be open at St. Peter in the Loop. So that's the beautiful thing of the church. The church could open the doors if the country doesn't open. So that's where the Holy Family is being represented there.
Quite an event every year. Braving the cold, coming out for this very faith-based experience.
And you saw the joy on their faces.
Yes.
I think that really says it all, that they're pleased to be able to make a connection between their faith and their social responsibility. And that I think is that joyfulness is a byproduct of an integrated life.
It's really what we were just talking about in regard to your article and the call to holiness, right?
Yes.
And we see it enacted there every year.
Yes,
and it's a good celebration, and another good celebration involves one of our fine Catholic schools. Marian Catholic High School band members recently performed at the Illinois Veterans Home in Manteno. Students and staff assisted residents in making their way to a special performance by the Marian Catholic Saxophone Ensemble. Susan Thomas and videographer Brian Brock were there. Let's take a look.
Oh, great.
It's a joy to hear just the activities of them having, to hear the music, to hear the songs. I think a lot of them from the generations, because we have World War II veterans here, we have Korean veterans here, we have Vietnam and the Persian Gulf. So just the older generations, just to hear some of these songs, they're familiar with it, and it lifts them up and gives them joy and happiness.
Several of these brave veterans took some time to reflect on the performance.
Real nice, because it's good entertainment for the people who live here. And, I'm glad that we got schools that come out and entertain us for veterans out here.
I enjoyed seeing the youth that are very interested in band. They played very well. Oh, the favorite part of the event today was the various songs that they were able to play, West Side Story and all the other military songs.
Very good, very talented kids in the group. Favorite part today, I was just seeing everybody having a good time, enjoying themselves. And then of course they commemorate all the branches of the service. That was a good part.
The events of the day not only left an impression on the veterans, but on the students as well.
I just really wanted to give back to our community and just help out. And I know one of the veterans here, and it's one of my family's friends, so I just wanted to say hi to him. It feels really good and heartwarming to know that you're giving back to people that have done so much for our community and our country.
Oh, I really enjoyed playing for the veterans today. You could really see that they were moved by the pieces that we played, and you could tell it brought them back to when they were serving.
This is my 39th trip. I've taken 106 students out now, and they have all performed superbly in whatever I've been asking them to do at soup kitchens or food pantries. We're a Dominican school. We have there are four Dominican pillars: prayer, preaching, study, and community. Community is interchangeable with service. Service is part of our mission. The students get the opportunity not just to do academics, but to learn about themselves, what they could do to give back. And this gives them a chance to really do some of these things and learn more about themselves. And it's not just what they're doing in the classroom.
I'm Susan Thomas reporting for Catholic Chicago.
Cardinal, that wasn't just an opportunity to offer some celebration, but the whole thing was based in service. Let's talk about the importance of service for our youth.
Well, young people have a generous heart, and what I liked in particular was the connection that these young people, these students had with the veterans, with an older generation. The Holy Father has time and again said that young people need to talk to people of grandparent age, because there's a shared wisdom there, and there really is an affinity. There's a wonderful relationship that young people have with older folks, And I think that that came through in this segment that you showed here. But young people have a very generous heart, and I think anything we can do to provide them with moments of service is important.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's important for older people to realize they have a responsibility for young people to support their education, to look for ways in which they can shepherd them and advise them and accompany them in life.
Which is a great segue to our next topic. We wanted to talk a little bit about the tax credit scholarships.
Oh, sure.
Why are they important?
Well, you know, the tax credit scholarships that the state provides is directed primarily towards people who are at the poverty line. Mm-hmm. So it gives parents who are in lower income groups the same choice that parents who are of means have. One of the most important decisions that a parent makes is where their child is going to go to school. And sometimes we hear from lower income families that they would like to have the freedom and the choice to be able to select a school that is a good fit for their child, that is a parochial school, a Catholic school, or another kind of a private school. And so the state is allowing parents then that freedom of choice in the selection of a school. That's what this is all about. It's to make sure that we're evening the playing field. Yeah. Why should people of means have the freedom to be able to make that decision while poor families can't? It does not seem to me to be a fair system for people. And our statistics show that if a parent is able to make that selection, they tend to be more involved in the education of their child.
Oh, really?
Because in many ways they're fighting for something.
Yeah.
And they're really seeing that they're having a part in the selection. If in fact they have no choice at all, then some of them just say, well, we'll leave it up to the school to take care of this, and we can outsource that to the school. But here, when they have the ability to make a choice, they're more involved.
They're invested because of our investment.
Exactly.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Cardinal, we're going to take a break. But when we come back, we have a number of stories that are all around the Christmas season.
Okay.
So to our viewers, stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're invited on February 28th, 2020, to join us for the 42nd Annual African American Heritage Prayer Service. Catholic schools, grades 6 through 12, are asked to join us in celebrating both our heritage and our faith.
This year will be held at St. Rita of Cascia Shrine Chapel, which is located on the south side of Chicago. The theme of the prayer service this year will be Angels Among Us. This sacred event is centered on the richness of diversity, the beauty of unity, and the power of storytelling.
Represent your school during the opening procession with your school banner. Visit the African American Heritage Prayer Service website for more information.
Each year, I look forward to seeing all the new schools that are coming to this event for the very first time. Scholarships are available and registration is now open. I hope to see you there.
Hello, I'm Father Jack Wall of Catholic Extension, wishing you a blessed and Merry Christmas. On this joyous and most holy feast, we are reminded that His birth in the flesh is now our constant call as His people to incarnate Christ into the world anew. At Catholic Extension, we help give birth to Christ's life and love among those in the poorest places of the United States, especially where people are seen as disposable or forgotten. It's always been the role of Catholic Extension to see in them the very face of Christ, honoring their dignity and lifting them up. Please visit us at catholicextension.org/Christmas to donate. And please help us continue the work we are doing here in our country. May God bless you and all whom you love. Merry Christmas.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago. We begin this segment with some video of Catholic faithful braving the cold as they celebrate the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Tens of thousands of worshipers converged on the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Des Plaines. The December celebration included the lighting of the traditional Antorcha Guadalupana. Pilgrims carried torches back to their parishes throughout the Archdiocese. There were several masses that were celebrated, including an outdoor mass at midnight. Cardinal, every year, that is just an amazing event. Thousands of people come. It's nationally covered. It's just amazing.
Well, it's one of the things the Holy Father has been insisting on, that we pay attention as ministers in the church to the spiritual piety of people at the everyday level. Yeah. This is exactly the understanding that the Holy Father wants us to have in our ministry, that is accompanying people on the way. And this is an expression of that, that people understand that their life is a journey. And by accompanying one another, they feel the presence of God working in their lives. So this is precisely where the Holy Father is going in saying, you need to make sure that you pay attention to what's happening in the spiritual lives and the personal piety of people.
The number of people, all of this is, they come to God through Our Lady of Guadalupe.
That's right, and also through being with each other in the celebration. Yeah. That is important. Yeah. This is not just an individual matter. This is a communal piety that draws them together to see their connection with each other through Our Lady.
It's a people coming together for one purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an amazing show. And another show, maybe not quite as amazing, but fun nonetheless, was the first ever Rector's Christmas concert at Holy Name Cathedral. That's where the City Lights Orchestra performed under the direction of Rich Daniels, and it was a great event. We've got some film on it.
Oh, great.
This is the seat of Catholicism for the Catholic Church in Chicago and has been for over 100 years. So it's the sacred space. It's really amazing. We've been doing concerts in churches for the last 20 years on a regular basis, but this is the first time at the cathedral. So it's an honor, and Father Greg, who's been a longtime friend, together with Mark Teresi, we had lunch, we talked about it, and then being the man of action that he is, he put this in place in a matter of months.
The thing that's great about City Lights is that we do such a wide variety of stuff, from traditional carols, which everyone will get to sing along with. Some of the most well-loved orchestra pieces that pop up in the holiday season. And then we have incredible vocalists that bring their talents.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
I always like playing Sleigh Ride, the Leroy Anderson piece. It's so well written, and it just conjures up so many images for so many people. I think that it's really great.
We just dedicated our Mary statue, which we found after 125 years, and I'll be able to sing Ave Maria. I have a devotion to Mary, and it's just an honor to do that with a full 40-piece orchestra. I hope she hears the prayer.
We're very fortunate to be in a situation where we can give back in certain ways. So the musicians all perform for what we call community service scale. They give back to the community, and as do all of us for these programs. And so our union has a special rate that we can offer in organizations if it's a free and open to the public concert like this is. And the musicians are very dedicated and passionate about participating and very helpful. So that, coupled with the church, coupled with the hierarchy who's been supportive of this, it's been a great experience for all of us.
May God bless all of you. Walk with Christ. Thank you for coming.
I didn't know that the rector of our cathedral was so talented.
I think he should keep his day job.
It's a great performance. You weren't at that one, but you were at another one, the City Lights Orchestra and Rich Daniels, just giving back during this season.
Well, we always do this every year at Holy Family, where they come together in the diocese with the City Lights Orchestra under the leadership of Rich Daniels, who is so generous, as are all of the singers. So it really is a way for us to enter into the season. You know, song is so very important in all of our lives, and that's so evident during the season of Christmas. So I hope that people look for opportunities, no matter what their talents are, to be able to join in the singing of Christmas carols.
Sing full-throatedly.
Exactly, exactly.
Cardinal, we're going to end this program with a wonderful recorded Christmas message that you give to everyone in the Archdiocese. Before that, I just want to say to you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
A blessed holiday season to you.
Thank you.
It's always good to be with you.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you and to all the staff here, and to all of our viewers. I will especially remember you and your families, those who are suffering from illnesses, recovering from different treatments of cancer and surgeries. You will have a special place in my prayers.
Thanks, Cardinal, and thank you for watching. I'm Todd Williamson. We'll see you next time on Catholic Chicago.
Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, when we gather with family and loved ones in this holy season, we feel gratitude for God's many gifts, above all, for the gift of His Son. The birth of our Savior, celebrated at Christmas, is a birth of new hope for our troubled world today. This message comes to us in many ways, through the lowly shepherds, who remind us to reach out to the poor, to the homeless, to victims of violence, and to all who live on the margins of society. Through Mary and Joseph, who escaped the threat of violence, taking up a perilous journey, like many who are displaced from their homes by war and poverty. They urge us to support and protect immigrants and refugees around the world, and those who come to our country. May we never say, "There's no room in the inn," but rather let us thank God for the diverse gifts of each and every person. And the message of hope comes through the Magi, who presented their gifts of the earth to the child Jesus and honored Him. So too, may we honor and respect all human life and value our common home by protecting the gifts of nature. We too are invited to be messengers of the good news of the Savior's birth and reach out to our loved ones and the whole world with the comfort, hope, and joy that only the Christ child can bring. God bless you all and all your loved ones this holy season. Merry Christmas.
Closer to me to collect the kisses that are due me. I love the winter weather, 'cause I've got my love to keep me warm. I can't remember a worse December